You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side.
God bless America. Welcome to The Ranch, everybody, the podcast where we explore the people and happenings of Dry Creek Ranch, Eagle, and the greater Boise area. Quick shout out to all those West Ada kids. I hope you enjoyed your second week of school. I know my boys absolutely did, so that's awesome. I did have the pleasure of speaking recently with the committee who is trying to get the charter school in Dry Creek Ranch. I will be publishing that episode soon. It was incredibly informative and awesome to hear, and obviously something that affects our entire community, not just Dry Creek Ranch, but Eagle as well, because any pressure we can take off the schools as far as class sizes is something great that we should all strive to do. So again, that episode will be coming up soon, and there is a meeting with the county on September 14th. Again, I will give you all the details, but I highly encourage everyone here to look forward to that episode, listen to it, and if you have the time and interest, please go down to the county for the meeting. My guest today is a Dry Creek Ranch icon. I really enjoy this guy. He's just such a character. He has some awesome things to say. He's been all over the world, grew up in Detroit, then lived in Vegas. He has a couple kids as well, lives here now. I just really enjoy him. He's just one of those guys that, you know, you can kick back with and talk to, and he shared his incredible bourbon collection with me, which was awesome. And again, I just had a fantastic time hanging out with him, and I want to share that with you too. So without further ado, you may know him as Vegas, but the man, the myth, the legend, Garrett Ulfig. Yeah, baby.
One more time.
One more time. How
Cheers,
are
man.
you? Cheers.
I'm great.
All right, look, I am not a connoisseur, but hang with me here.
Yeah.
I taste honey. There's a bite. Is that rye? What is that?
You know, I'm not that much of a connoisseur either to be able to tell you what the hell you're tasting, but all I know with this one specifically is it seems to open up and then open up on the back of your throat even more and continue to open up throughout the sip.
I'm going to do another one.
Yeah.
God, man, that's really good. That's really good.
Like I said, this is the one that everybody searches for.
All right, this is the old Rip Van Winkle.
10-year.
10-year. All right.
So they have a 12 and a 15 and a 23.
But the 10 is the...
I think the 10 is the best one.
All right, so help me out. If everybody's looking for it and we're sitting here drinking it, how did you get that? I got all the time of the world. I want to know.
So it's kind of a long story.
Okay.
We have a operation in Reno.
Okay.
I drove from Reno up to Boise to come back home. There's a stop that I make every time at this liquor store. There's a guy who owns a liquor store in Vegas. He also has one in Reno. He has one somewhere else in northern Nevada. The dad, it's called Corey's. The dad runs the one in Reno. The son runs the one in Las Vegas. So the dad gets all the best liquor up in the one near Reno. So he just happened to be there one day when I was coming through. He was in the store. I heard him talking to another customer about getting some of this in. So I pretended that I knew his son in the Las Vegas store. I said, I go in there all the time, knowing that I have a buddy that does go in there all the time. So I said his name, and he said, if
You're like, I'm Steve.
I said,
I'm Steve.
I'm John. And I know your son really well. I go to your store all the time. I buy from you all the time. If there's any way you could get me on a list to get one of these, just verify it with your son. And he did. And then when the bottle came in, my buddy John went and picked it up, and we split it.
So the dad didn't take a picture of you. So the dude in Reno only knew the name and assumed you were that person.
Correct.
Oh my God.
Well, you gotta
beautiful.
You gotta do some moves to get the real shit.
So why is it so sought after?
So this is all Buffalo Trace. This is made out of Buffalo Trace too. This is another one that's really hard to get, and it's highly sought after. I don't know why. You know, years ago it wasn't that hard to get. People could drink this on a regular basis.
Okay.
Somehow now it's become allocated. They only release it at certain times of the year. And then the price skyrockets. People buy them up and resell them on the secondary market for triple, quadruple, 10 times the price.
So I feel like 20, 30 years ago, that was only a thing that like super bougie people did with wine.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you started getting these fancy craft beers. Like you started getting stuff like Pliny the Elder and like all these really expensive, handmade kind of artisan liquors, right? And do you think that was a product of the Oregon craft beer movement, or
I never really got into craft beer, so I don't know.
Yeah, neither did I. I just know people would wait in line. Like this one beer my buddy really enjoyed is produced only 3 months of the year, and he would go stand in line for 2 hours to get a pint. And he was like, "This is it.
Wow.
This is the beer." I'm like, Kaim, what are you doing? You just spent your life, like standing here waiting for this beer.
For 1 pint?
Yeah.
And then that pint's gone. At least this
gone.
bottle, I've had this for 6 months, And I'll just have it occasionally. I'll have a sip of this.
I was going to say, that's how we know you're not an alcoholic. You've had this fancy-ass bottle for 6 months, and it's not done yet.
Yeah, but I have a fuck ton of bottles.
Fewer now than last night.
Yeah, probably 120, maybe 150. I don't know.
Well, okay. Then do you match the bottle with, like, the mood you're in?
Yes.
Oh, so, like, you pair it with food, or is it really just
Not really with food. With cigars and just the mood. Like, when I go in the room, I just kind of feel look at what feels good to me at that time, and knowing the taste that I'm going to get out of it. But I have so during the pandemic, before I got in the house, we were in a condo, and there was a spot under the stairs. It was a closet, right? I was just buying bourbon, shoving it in the closet. Buying bourbon, shoving it in the closet. So I'd go to Vegas. I had this traveling case where I could fit 4 bottles in it and bring it back with me on the airplane, shove it in the closet. So I never knew until we moved how much I really had in there. And it ended up being over 100 bottles. And then I'm still buying it.
God, man, that's wild. But it's kind of like, this is like your daily ritual. Like, this is your daily constitution to some degree.
Yes, it is. It gives me that chance to relax.
Yeah.
We talked about before we turned on that I'm in go mode 100 miles an hour, 150 miles an hour all day long. No matter what I'm doing, work out, whatever I'm doing, I'm in go mode. Go.
Right.
I apologize to the neighbors in the neighborhood who see me outside of the neighborhood because I drive like a maniac. So sorry for that. But when I'm in the neighborhood, I'm very respectful. So.
Well, for what it's worth, I've never seen you drive crazy. So, maybe somebody watching
watch for me on the 55. Okay.
Well, I just see your little golf cart. I get excited. I'm like, oh, there he is. That's awesome. So this is really just a thing for you. How long have you been like a bourbon fanatic?
So that's the thing. Not that long. Probably 2 years.
Wait, back up. You have some fancy-ass collection of bourbon. Over 100 bottles. And now you have like this sought-after 10-year-old stuff. And you've only been into this a couple years. Yes.
And I blame that same John guy for getting me into it. I used to drink tequila. And this kind of graduated me. He got me to try a bourbon one night, and it was fantastic. And I haven't looked back.
Okay, so what is your opinion on Terramana then?
Terramana, that's the one.
The rocks
rocks
tequila.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I like Reposado.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you don't like the Blanco?
I don't drink Blanco if I'm going to drink tequila.
Okay.
Which is kind of led me to this path, because Repo and Yeho are darker, and they kind of mirror a bourbon a little bit.
I've been wondering about this because, look, I don't drink a lot, okay, but especially 2021, I was having a little bit more. We were doing fire pits. We were still in California. Things were kind of a train wreck, and the only way we could see people was like doing fire pits in our front yard. And so we go out and do these fire pits, and they'd be like these long, kind of meandering experiences with people. And one of my neighbors started bringing over Terramana, right? And it was like my birthday, she got me a bottle, and then we'd try different gins and stuff. But the Terramana, to me, I was like, I don't know a lot about tequila, but this is really, really good. It seems really good. And obviously it has become immensely popular.
Yeah.
But I've always wondered, look, is it actually good tequila, or is it just that it's the rocks tequila?
I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. I think it's good, but I think you add that side of the rock to it, and I think you get more people trying it, more people drinking it.
Dude, I love the rock. I'm a huge fan.
He's pretty cool.
Yeah. Did you ever see that that film? What was it called? Not Standing Tall. That's when he got elected to be a sheriff. And did you see that film?
No.
Like some of his original films. So there was one original film, The Rundown. Oh my God! Don't get me crying. I'm gonna cry. No, there's one of his original films, The Rundown. Okay, he is this like enforcer guy for the super rich guy in like L.A. or something. And so the super rich guy in L.A. has a son who's this treasure hunter, and he's in like the Amazon or something. And so The Rock has to go and find him in the Amazon, and he runs into him, and the son has been captured by this like gold overlord, and it was not his finest movie. It was very entertaining. I think I was like 21 or 22 when it came out, okay? But what was interesting is at the beginning of that movie, he's going into this club to collect on a debt that this football player had. And the collateral for this gambling debt was this guy's rings, right? So this like NFL player, it's got his posse, this whole thing. So The Rock walks in, and as he's walking in to collect the debt, it ends in this like crazy fight scene, which is awesome because The Rock was like a tree trunk at the time, still is. Arnold Schwarzenegger is walking out, and he gives him this look. He's like, "Have fun," and then walks right out, and you never see him again. So it's this cameo where it's this really passing the torch moment between The Rock and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Interesting.
Because I mean, you have Vin Diesel, right? Like Vin Diesel's a good enough actor, and he's huge, and he has his only thing that he's ever done, which is of course Fast and Furious 57. So he's got that whole series. But for some reason, The Rock was good enough and in the right spot, and just kind of like took up the mantle.
Yeah, I think he's better looking than Vin Diesel for sure.
Yeah.
I think that helps, and I think he's actually more defined and muscular than Vin Diesel.
Physical. Yeah. Who's the guy who played the mute guy in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh shit, I've never seen it.
Okay.
I haven't been able to watch movies in like 9 years.
What's wrong? Don't you have little kids, bro?
Yes.
Like, come on now.
But I go to bed at the same time as them.
What time do you get up?
I'm 6 right now, but I fluctuate throughout the year. So there are times when I'll get up at like 3 in the morning just so I can get shit done before anybody else is awake. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. When I first moved here, I was in SAT prep for like 18 years. All I had ever done was taught people like math and grammar. So leave California. This is all I'd ever done since the week I graduated college. I started tutoring privately. So I come here, I say goodbye to the tutoring program, and I realized, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm here, and it's a great place, and like my kids are happy, everyone's happy, but it's like, okay, what am I going to do, right? Like, what value do I have, right? Because you take a hard look. It's like, what value do you have? Like, what can you do? So I had done some educational content, right? Like math videos and some really lightweight grammar videos. But I decided, I was like, the market for homeschool curriculum is super limited. Okay, and what I mean by that is, like, if you want to homeschool your kid, okay, and you want to teach your kid grammar, you're going to have to go through like old school grammar books. You're going to have some of my friends that do homeschooling actually teach their kids Latin so they can teach them grammar. So it's this really antiquated stuff. I was like, I bet there's a way you can make a homeschool curriculum where you made the shit funny, you made it ridiculous, and it's short and you got the kids' attention.
Yeah, it kept them entertained.
Exactly. Yeah. So I started making these skits where I was playing multiple characters, and it was like shooting back and forth, 60 seconds, going through a specific grammar rule, and it was really funny. Like I whipped out my Letterman jacket from high school. So it's like I was one like Matt the dumb athlete, and then it's like Matt the teacher.
I'm upset I got rid of mine at some point.
What, your Letterman jacket?
Yeah.
How could you do that?
I don't know. It's a great question.
Yeah. But to your point, I was getting up at like 5, so I'd shoot these videos, and then I'd get up at 5 when nobody was awake, and I'd just sit at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and edit them. Because it took hours to edit them down from like, however long the raw takes were. Because again, multiple shoots going back and forth. It was kind of complex. But yeah, like the morning hours, I always saw adults get up early when I was a kid. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you gotta sleep in. And they're like, forget sleep, dude. It's time to grind.
Yes. So now, I'm in bed usually by 11, up by 6. But once it gets into winter, I'll start waking up earlier and earlier and earlier and going to bed earlier and earlier. Yeah, I just kind of fluctuate with the seasons.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool way to do it. Like, honestly, because staying up late, especially in the summertime, There's just something nice about
Yeah.
being up at like 11:30 when it's 100 degrees outside. You know, and then in the winter.
Actually,
obviously.
here it's been cool late at night, so that's when I go out. I pop my garage a little bit, watch. I've been watching Ozarks lately, getting caught up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you handle that show?
It's yes,
It's too
it's entertaining.
It is, but it's horrifying.
Yes,
Like it's terrifying to watch.
because you're almost putting yourself in their shoes as if this was really happening.
Well, that's the only reason we watch that
Yeah,
stuff.
true.
Right? Like we empathize and we're like, oh my gosh. So like in the beginning scenes, right? In the beginning season when he lands, they like land in the Ozarks. He convinces the drug lord to give him a shot and he looks over at his wife and he's like, listen to me, you and I are business partners. We are not married anymore. Our primary role is to stay alive and keep our children alive. And she looks at him and she like he was like, the only joy I get is remembering your lover fall to the bottom. Like, and she slaps him. And then he's like, whatever, fuck it. And goes inside. From that second on, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can watch this show.
Well, it really entertains me. What I had a hard time watching was Breaking Bad,
What?
especially that first season with the bathtub incident. That I almost couldn't watch anymore.
Wait, what was the bathtub incident?
I think I'm trying to recall. It's been a few years, but they poured some acid on a guy in the bathtub, and then it fell through the floor or something like that. It's kind of
Yeah, they had some dark scenes.
Yeah, they had some dark scenes.
Yeah.
So-
but that to me was so out there. Like that show to me was so unrealistic.
Okay.
That it was like I could detach from Walter White.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes. But so how have you been watching Ozarks? Have you been watching it? Are you a weekly watcher, or I'm binging it? So binging it is different because you're going through and you're like, oh, that guy's dead, that guy's dead, that guy. They all just fucking die, right?
Yeah, right. No, I think the last episodes I saw were when the head guy he convinces the Hicks and then the head enforcer from the cartel to do the boat, and then they kill the guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The redneck guys, the opioid guys, the poppy seed guys. They kill the head guy because the wife is like, "What did you say?" He's like, "I can't believe you convinced me to do business with these rednecks." And
Dang,
shot him.
don't
So
tell
it was
me
a-
that yet. Hold on, I don't think.
No, it was a while ago. It was a while. Oh, shoot.
no,
You're
I'm on
only
season 4.
Okay. Well, look, it's in there somewhere. But the
Okay.
point is, I got to that point, and then they killed the preacher's wife. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. So at the point when you're like, all right, let me get this right. So the storyline goes.
Oh yeah.
The preacher has a pregnant wife.
Yes,
and
yes.
you think
Take the baby.
they take the baby out, presumably kill the wife, and then deliver the baby. If that wasn't bad enough, you think that the preacher's going to drown the baby in the lake, and then he ends up like baptizing him, right? But the baby's underwater. And at the time when I'm watching this is a few years ago, I had like a 2-year-old. I'm like, I can't watch this. Like Walter White all day long. Like I don't care about methy, stupid chemistry teacher.
It hit too close to home.
That actor. I can't recall his name. He's a very good actor. He's very skilled.
The preacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. The main character.
The main character.
Arrested
he's
Development.
Great. Yeah, I can't remember his name either. I was thinking about that last night. I can't remember his name.
He nails it, man. And his wife, the actress, of course, is a tremendous actress as well. So for me, do you ever see The Departed?
I don't think so.
Oh my God, Leonardo DiCaprio,
No, I'm telling you, I haven't watched movies.
Jack
in forever.
Nicholson. The Departed was like 2005, baby. All right, listen, your homework. I'm going to learn more about bourbon. You go home and watch The Departed. But The Departed was another movie that was so well done. Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson.
I'm aware of it. Just
It's
never.
tremendous film. That was another one where it was like, okay, great film. Never see that again. Like it was just too intense.
Do you watch movies over? I don't watch movies over.
Well, I did when I was like in college.
Oh,
But,
I still didn't. I see it once. I got other shit to do.
I saw Jurassic Park like 300 times. You don't have a movie that like when you were a teenager and bored as hell in what, Detroit? You were in Detroit?
Detroit,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're in Detroit, you're hanging out, and you're like,
No.
what am I going to do with myself right now?
I want to see a new movie, and a new movie, and a new movie.
Okay, well, I mean, here's to you, man. I mean, I don't know. I got married young. I'm like, I find something I like and I enjoy that.
Gotcha.
You know, it's like, I like you. You're great. Let's get married and move on with our
Yeah, and
lives.
I've never been the guy that remembers lines in movies because you have to watch it 500 times to remember the damn lines.
Well, some people.
Yeah. Oh,
Like-
you can remember it
like-
first time?
The movies we're talking about, I've only seen once.
Oh,
Like the Rundown. I saw that once when I was like 22 years old.
okay.
But I can spew out lines from it.
Wow.
I have a good memory.
That's
so
good.
this is explaining a lot to me. There's a reason why you have 120 plus bottles of bourbon because you like a lot of different things.
Right. Yeah.
Like I have, again, don't drink frequently, but it's going to be Bombay Sapphire Gin or Terramana.
Got it.
And that's it. If somebody's like, hey, have you tried? I'm like, nope, I have no idea.
Well, but here's the thing. I only drink bourbon. I don't drink beer. I don't drink tequila anymore. I don't drink vodka. Bourbon.
You don't even like a G&T? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's got their own
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. So you grew up in Detroit. You
Yes.
love Detroit. You are you have a Detroit tattoo on your
Very
finger.
true. So that's because I'm married to Detroit in more ways than one and always will be. Born and raised, business there. I love the Tigers, even though they suck. But in some way, I'll always be married to Detroit. That's why it's on that finger.
Well, why? I'm like, let me put it to you this way. I was born in San Francisco. Okay. And then I was raised in Concord. Okay. So theoretically, if we're running like your parallel, I should love the A's. I should love the Raiders. I mean, maybe the Giants. I mean, anyone, right? It doesn't really matter. But Concord and the Bay Area in general, to me, like, they could break off from the rest of the continent, and I don't think we would miss that much. Like, if Twitter all of a sudden was drowned in the Pacific, I don't think anybody would be like, oh no, I've lost a way to express myself effectively. Like, I don't have a great love for it. So when you said that you really appreciated Detroit and, you're married to it, it's kind of like, what is that connection? Because I never grew up understanding that.
So I think it's a little different thing growing up in the Midwest, and especially in Detroit, and probably like Chicago and cities around there as well. It's just ingrained in you from birth. I mean, Lions fans, do you think they really want to be fucking Lions fans? No. But they have to be. It's serious. They have to be. And they cheer like they wear bags on their heads too, but they love the fucking team and even support them when they're terrible, which they usually are. So,
do you think that I have dear friends from Chicago, from Philly, from all over? Because when I was at Cal, I was on the rowing team, and that draws from a lot of like Midwest and East Coast places.
Gotcha.
Okay. There seems to be like I have a diehard Eagles fan buddy who just bleeds Eagles, right? And he had a very similar sentiment to what you're kind of saying, which is like, look, you have to love them. What is it? I mean, you've lived in the Midwest. You lived in Vegas. Now you live in Idaho.
Yeah.
What is it about that area that produces like this just unwavering loyalty?
I used to watch Tigers games with my dad on TV and in person. It just becomes part of your life. And summertime, baseball on the TV or going to Comerica Park or, it's just part of life in Detroit. It just is. Same with hockey, same with football. I mean, all of it's ingrained. And in everyone. And everywhere you go, you see people with stickers and license plate holders and everything Detroit.
God, man, it would be so cool to live in an area where I felt that.
Yeah.
Where it was like real deep. Noam Chomsky, actually, the linguist, believed that one of the things that pushed people in the Midwest in particular, in like coal towns and whatnot, and people just doing really like very needed but manual labor where they're not really engaging their faculties to the degree that they could, but could memorize like the most unbelievable stats. They knew names, they knew years, they knew all of these different things. He's like, essentially what he believed is that even if you're working some, like coal mining job, it doesn't mean that your mind is not working and that your mind is constantly needing to grab onto something for engagement. And in the absence of something to grab on, if you're really just breaking rock all day, you're going to go mad as a human being. Like you can't do it. So he hypothesized at one point that the professional sports and love for professional sports and the fan base, like the unwavering fan that knew absolutely everything for the last 20 years, was trying to fill this human niche where he's like, I need to engage on like a lot of levels, and my profession is not doing that. Right. And I've always wondered, it's like, is that why you get people in like, say, SF that are huge into tech? They're like, look, my head is already stuffed with numbers. Like, yeah, I'm happy if the A's win. And, like, I kind of geek out because they came up with some, like, mathematical advantage. But aside from that, like, you don't see these ravenous fans like you do in the Midwest and places like that.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there.
Well, he was. I didn't come
Yeah, he was.
Way to go, Noam Chomsky.
So the other part of it is, in 1984, that's the last time the Tigers won the World Series. I was 6 years old, and, I mean, that was a big deal. And my dad actually... I'm pretty sure I was with him. I don't know what he did with me, but, I mean, babysitter wise or what, because he was a single dad. But he went downtown, and they were like rioting everywhere. And
I bet.
He climbed a telephone pole. I mean, he was a madman too. So, yeah.
Yeah. 89 was when the A's and the Giants were in the World Series, Battle of the Bay.
I kind of remember that.
Yeah, so I was, I think I was 7, and I remember it being crazy. And there was obviously the 89 earthquake as well. And I remember, running around in the neighborhood and then, like, pandemonium. Pandemonium because they were playing, and, of course, pandemonium because there's this massive earthquake, and that's bad.
I don't remember the earthquake part.
Yeah, Loma Prieta.
Oh.
Yeah, it was wild. Loma Prieta earthquake, the Bay Bridge fell, like sections of it fell down.
Really?
Like major cracks. So San Francisco actually has a very interesting subterranean water supply system. So back in there was a massive fire that was after it was like the 1908 earthquake or something. So the major damage dealt in San Francisco was not that buildings collapsed. Yes, that happened. But what happened? What also happened is this fire swept through the city swept through. And because they didn't have appropriate mechanisms to put out fires, and like they lost all this property damage, they were like, all right, look, we need to make these giant containers of water under the street. And they also got public funding for water boats. So they had these water boats that could pull up to the side of marinas anywhere in the city and then like pump water with some kind of intensity. Anyway, so in the 89 earthquake, you had these massive water like basins essentially under the street, and like the streets were collapsing into them because there was this massive earthquake, but these basins were built, some time prior. So that
Did they bust open?
Yeah, I think some of them cracked open, and I don't know if anyone fell in, but I do remember seeing like these massive cracks in the streets, and then they were talking about how there's this big problem. And then actually, I think it was after the 89 earthquake, they realized they had this problem with water pressure, and so that they passed a bond measure to get more fireboats and everything. Because I mean, if you think about it, it's a real problem in the city. It's like the city's all kinds of hills.
Yeah, that's been a long time since I've been there, but yeah.
Yeah, you should keep it that way. You're not.
I'm not missing anything?
You're not fucking missing.
Right.
I mean, San Francisco is... I've never been to Detroit.
Okay.
But just as you're describing, it seems that Detroit has at least a small sense of itself. Whatever that thing is. And again, I can't tell you I know the girl because I don't know her.
Sure.
But it seems like she's pretty confident in who she is.
Yes.
Right? San Francisco has zero of that.
Uh-huh.
San Francisco is like the weakest, most pathetic child's kite that was purchased from the dollar store. That will just, the string gets cut and it will just blow in any direction. Like it has zero direction, zero backbone. Like the little pathetic, like plastic things holding it are going to snap at any point. And it's not even being held. It's just blow. It's like, what are you?
Yeah.
Like the city itself, you have an incredible transient population of homeless people and otherwise. People that are just coming in with these golden handcuffs, making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, at least pre-pandemic,
sure.
That were, these buildings were getting taken over by these tech companies, filled with people who didn't give two shits about the city and were literally just like disdainfully living there and just teched the hell out. 30 years old, 50 million rich with stock. And it just, it became something else.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So let me tell you how I got here from Detroit then.
Why don't you?
So My grandfather started a business.
This is the Stag, yeah?
Yeah, Stag German.
Okay, and this is Buffalo Trace as
Buffalo
well.
Trace as well,
Okay.
but we got to be careful with this one because look at the alcohol volume on there and the proof.
Yeah, that's a little rough. So at 131, you can not only light that on fire, but
just wait for the flavor that comes out of that, and it doesn't hit as hard as you think it's going to hit.
I was gonna say, isn't it gonna be like,
It's just
and
gonna be a
very
little
light on me
touch, a little
because
touch,
I
yeah.
am a pathetic, it's wasted on me. But there's somebody was telling me that there's a hammer of cinnamon when you have a higher proof.
Not necessarily.
Bourbon. Okay.
Not necessarily. They're all different in their flavor profile.
Okay.
But so let me go into the story. So,
Hang on a sec. Hang on. Here we go,
Sure.
baby.
cheers.
Third round. God bless you, sir. Man,
See,
I don't want to become an alcoholic,
not-
but you might.
it's not as strong as you thought it was going to be, right?
That tastes really. When you were saying you kind of pair the taste for your mood, like, I'm not pretending like I'm a connoisseur, but like these have really good taste and they're different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not Basil Hayden.
Oh my God! Stop
Sorry.
it. Stop it! I try to be a good host.
No, I
try
appreciate
to
it.
just like Basil Hayden. Look at the bottle; it's so cool
I know,
looking.
I know. And lots of people like it.
Well, it's not every day I hang out with somebody, 120 bottles. Anyway, so back to your story.
Yeah. So my grandfather started a business before I was born in 1974, a floor covering business in Detroit. He was doing work for the big three, but mostly in their houses.
Don't get too far from this.
Yeah, like
there you go.
Lee Iacocca
Okay,
and all those
yeah.
guys from the
Okay.
big three, right? So at one point they said, Gene, why are you just doing our houses? Why don't you start doing work for us in our facilities, right? In our operating facilities, in our offices. He jumped at the chance. So at that point it was just him and my grandmother, just the two of them running the business. She was doing all the books, he was doing all the work in the field with his crew. And it grew and grew. And in the 90s, my father took over and hired our first salesman, to which my grandfather said, what the fuck do we need a salesman for?
Oh, so he was like a one-man show.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, until my dad worked in the field too. And then one day he said, I want to be in the office. I want to take over, basically. Gotcha. When that happened, he hired our first salesman. My grandfather was like, what the fuck are you doing? He said, just watch. That salesman got us into just about every major hospital in and around the city, and the commercial side just grew and grew and grew. We totally got rid of the residential side, which was the best move we could have ever done. Fast forward to the mid-aughts, which I don't even know what the fuck that means. Early 2000s,
Yeah,
right?
right.
What does that come from?
So it's my understanding there's a classic film that refers to a 1906 as '06. Right. So I think it's whenever the century rolls around, the first few years of the aught blank.
Okay. So mid-2000s, they built 3 casinos in downtown Detroit. Motor City, MGM, and Greektown. Well, we ended up getting contracts to do 2 of those casinos at the same time. So as we were going through those contractors were like, we really like the way you guys operate. Come back when we finish these up. Come back with us to Vegas, and we'll feed you guys work. That was 2008, so when we were completed.
And was your dad still operating with you at this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's still involved. I'll get to that.
Great.
So 2008 to 2010, we were getting work. These guys were giving us work. We had a condo. We'd send guys from Detroit. They'd stay in the condo. They'd knock out the work. They'd come home.
Sure.
Yeah. Brilliant. Sending a bunch of guys from Detroit to Vegas to work and party and, yeah.
I'm
whatever.
sure it'll get taken care of.
Yeah.
It'll get done. It'll get done.
It did. But in 2009, I went out and took a trip to Vegas, looked around. I wasn't married, single, young. Opportunity I saw.
Dashingly handsome.
Thanks, brother.
You're welcome.
I said, if we're going to be in Vegas, we need to really be there full time. We need to have a real operation there. And January 2010, I moved out. We opened a warehouse and took off from there. Now, at that time, though, it was still the bottom of the market. Nobody had any business. So I'm knocking on doors. Yeah, I'm meeting all kinds of people. They say they want to do business with us, but nobody has any fucking work. Luckily, we sustained enough because it was really just me and my stepsister at the time out there. And once the business did start coming back around, some of those relationships that I had built in the meantime, those guys were getting all the work, and they were giving us all the work. So that really grew the business, and to the point where we just did the Raiders Stadium. We've done the T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas Convention Center. I mean, we're right now we're just got started on the New York room remodel, every room in the New York hotel. So yeah, we've come a long way there in 11 years. So let me back up and say how I got here from there. When I moved to Las Vegas, I needed something to do. Retired soccer player, so kickball was a natural gravitational pull for me. I joined a co-ed kickball team, and little did I know that kickball could be so fucking serious. And what team did I want to be on? The best team, the most serious team. And I got on that team and met some great people through there. One of them was a guy that a couple years into me being in Vegas and being on that team, we were just talking one day, and his dad had a construction company that had gone under. And I said, why don't you come see me? He had some knowledge in the industry. Come see me, let's talk. And that turned into be the guy that I groomed to take over my position, even though I didn't know I was grooming him at the time. So 8 years later, I kept telling him I'm going to move him up as he progresses. And I consistently did that to the point where there was nowhere else for him to go other than my seat. So one day during the pandemic, I told my team, quit coming to me, go to Austin. And they listened, surprisingly. And that gave me an opportunity to step back and watch how they operated without me playing all the pieces, right? And I saw they had questions, and they would come to me with stuff, but mostly they had the answers, and that's what I needed to see. So once I saw that, I talked to Austin, and I said, I'm looking for my next venture. I want to do this again, you know? So at the same time, we had a contractor that had a Vegas office. They opened a spot in Reno. They also opened a spot in Boise. They said, Garrett, why don't you come take a look around Boise? We could use someone like you up here. I came up. They showed me around. I fell in love. And here I am.
So you took your grandfather's one-man show, right, and just somehow managed to make it this behemoth thing that's now doing New York, and these other massive commercial spaces.
Yeah, sure. I don't think it was just me. My father really grew the business to the point where we had the ability to do those things. So when I stepped into Las Vegas, we already had an advantage because we were already a big company in Detroit. We had all the capabilities and the things that the contractors and the MGMs and the Caesars of the world are looking for, which is good financials,
sure,
you know, all that kind of back end stuff, right? So we looked good on paper already. We just had to perform, and the hardest part was me finding. So we employ all of our installers. We don't subcontract any of our work. So the hardest part was me building a squad from, you know, guys that were coming in off the street basically until I churned through enough of them that I found one good one here.
Right, you got to sift through.
Right.
Find
the next
nuggets.
one, right. And then that guy knows somebody, and then boom, now we've got 25 guys that are good to go. So, yeah.
I'm so curious about this because for me, look, we all have our blind sides, right? And one of mine in particular that I've really grown to see as a real kind of like, you may never deal with this because it's probably like the biggest issue you have. For me, I've always been do you ever read any of the Robert Kiyosaki books? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't. he talks very specifically in his second book about different ways to make money. He's like, look, you can be an employee, you can be a business owner, you can be self-employed, you can be an investor. Right, so the employee is like guy at Starbucks. Business owner is the guy who owns Starbucks. Self-employed guy is the plumber who comes to fix the drain at Starbucks, and the investor is the guy who gives money to Starbucks to make more money. Right, and he didn't speak poorly about any of the four people, right? Like, that wasn't the point. He's like, you just have to recognize you're going to probably land into one of these four quadrants. And he's like, what you always want to do, the holy grail is making it to the the investor. He's like, because the second you can make money just by moving money, you're good, right? And he's like, that's the thing. And he was like, the problem is you got to get there. You can't make that kind of money to become an investor by being an employee. You have to move into either self-employed and then business owner, or just go straight to business owner, right? Because again, self-employed, you're doing your own thing, and then you build a business around that, like your grandfather, right? But it's almost impossible to go from employee to investor. And in talking about the self-employed people, he's like, listen, these people are perfectionists, and you need them. Like, you need the plumber who deeply believes in doing a great job, like a perfect. You need the electrician, you need the roofer, you need, and it's not just trades, it's anyone, right? Could be a financial investor. You need people that are highly skilled and do not trust anyone else to do what they have learned to do.
That's the guy I found in Vegas. I have a hard time right now getting him to let go of some of his things that he needs to let go of so that he can focus on higher level things.
Right.
And that's why I put him in charge. But he has a hard time letting go of the smaller things that he's always had control of, and he knows he does it right.
Right.
Can the next guy do it right?
Right.
We're working on that.
This is one thing that I've. So when I started in the tutoring business, I was 22, right, and I started doing the tutoring by myself. I have another buddy who's this incredible tutor as well. He was a year ahead of me. He actually helped me get going in the SAT realm. He very classic business thing, right? He's humming along. He's his own guy, and something really bad happens to him health-wise, and he can't physically go into the houses anymore. But he was like, look, I need to make money, and I have this robust and very positive reputation. So he instantaneously, within 3 weeks, develops a program, hires like 5 or 6 tutors, because he physically can't go there anymore. And again, classic story of something bad happens that leads to great. So pre-pandemic, he went in under 20 years from being one dude to having, I think it was like 24 centers, all averaging $3 million in gross revenue.
Wow.
Now, again, he wasn't making $3 million profit, but again, like, that's astronomical. And again, he did not study business in school. He was an athlete while he was in college, wanted to own his own business, but he was forced into the delegation because he could not physically do it anymore. I, quite unfortunately, was never pushed into that. Like, I never had to cross that threshold.
So one of the other things, looking back now, if I hadn't left Michigan, which was a big leap for me, because it was me doing it or it wasn't going to happen, right?
Right.
I would just be sitting as a project manager in the same business that we have in Detroit still right now. I wouldn't have pushed myself. I needed to make that leap of faith. Otherwise, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I don't know what made me do it, but I'm fucking glad I did.
Well, yeah, but this is the thing. Why did you do like? Because my issue always was I did one-on-one prep for like 13 years. I'm going to people's houses, exact same shirt, exact same pair of pants. I was like McDonald's hamburger, but like way better. I was like the white glove service, right? Like button-up shirts, slacks, the whole. Do my hair up right. I'd always smile. I had the really good jokes. Right. Moms loved me, because I'd always not flirt with them or anything, but like their kids really liked me, and I had great jokes, and they're like, "This is great." Because most parents, when you get to high school age kids, most parents, and let's face it, most of the time it's moms that are lining up auxiliary education, right? And a lot of times they're like, you know what? We so appreciate you because we've run through so many other just trash tutors, and you do exactly what you say you're going to do. You're always on time. Like, the kid loves you. And so the moms always spread. I never advertised because moms always just gave my name out. And they're like, this guy's the best, right? Yeah. So my clients really appreciated me. But I never even wanted to go to like a small class. I was booked up for like a year in advance. And I was still hesitant to like leverage myself in any way because I firmly believed, I was like, there's no way, there's no way that going from one-on-one to like a small group of 6, you can get the same quality product. And that was still with me teaching. And I finally did, only because I was losing so many clients that were like these loyal clients are like, Matt, we want to work with you. We can't wait 9 months.
Right.
And so I was like, fine, I'll make this overflow classroom. So I make the overflow classroom and instantly it fills up. And then all of a sudden people are like, hey, I don't know what happened in class, but like my kid loves it. Then the merch starts and all of a sudden I can't even do one-on-ones because I have so many classes.
Well, and maybe it was better. Maybe you were better with more.
I was.
And the kids were probably more interactive.
Listen, this is my blind spot. And I see this. And this is one of the great things in my life, one of the great mistakes, as it were, in my life. Hesitating for so long. Because I think now it's like, what if I had done that when I was 28 or 25? Instead, I did it at 35.
Yeah, you can't
and
think
then
like that.
A few years later, the pandemic hits and the SAT gets squashed anyway. So for me, understanding, it's like, how were you able to step out of that comfortable, understood? It's like the devil right here, sweat.
It's a great question because at the time, I had built a client base. So I started in the warehouse, which is the right move. Started in the warehouse, worked in the warehouse for a long time, probably from 14 to almost 20. Then I went into the office and started as a project manager, was handed some accounts, University of Detroit Mercy, St. Joseph's Pontiac Hospital, and a handful of others. So I was servicing those clients. But it was like I'd been doing this my whole life. I knew what the fuck I was doing. I'd be golfing Friday afternoon. It was nice.
It sounds great.
I didn't have to work too hard. And we were getting business constantly. Business. And then, I thought I'd move to Vegas and golf more. I golfed less because I had to build a fucking business, right? But what made me do that? That's a great question. I guess I believed in myself and wanted to prove myself. Because in Michigan, I was kind of, me and my dad would bicker a little bit about certain things, right?
Sure,
we're in the office together all the time. It's tough with family business, right? So I saw this as my chance to escape and do my own thing, really build a business from scratch, which is essentially what I did without his oversight, right? Because I wanted to change some things in the business in Michigan. They didn't want to change those things. So I got an opportunity to go do that my own way in Las Vegas. And that's what I did.
God, man, I couldn't. I made a New Year's resolution in 2015 or 16. All right. And it was 10 items. Top 10 things that terrified me the most. Right. And one of them was distance running. I hated running.
I hate running too.
And I literally, because I realized it a moment. So I was doing jiu-jitsu every single day, like pro jiu-jitsu.
I want to talk to you about that.
And I run, so my wife would go work out, and I'd take the boys, I had 2 boys at the time, I'd take the boys in a stroller, and I'd go run with these 2 behemoth children in this double bob, and they'd bring snacks and their little airplanes. So I'd go run around this golf course that was near our house. I didn't golf, but it was running through this really nice area. And it was like 4 miles, 5 miles, and I'd go run with them, and dude, it was hell. They were like 100 pounds, and I was trying to have fun with them. And they would always yell at me like, "Go faster, Dad! Go faster!" I'm like, "You go faster, kid." So I just hated running, and because of that, and by the way, when I got done with running, then I'd go train, right? So it was always like my pre-workout,
sure.
And I realized that I would be cowardly. I would see an opportunity. There was an extended loop where instead of running 4 miles, I could run 5 miles. Sometimes I would, but the majority of the time I would come up with some reason why I wouldn't or couldn't or shouldn't. And I saw this of myself, and I was like, you are just being a coward. That's what you're doing. You're afraid of what it's going to what it's going to be. You're afraid of the pain. And this is now steering your life, by the way. Like your fitness, your physical ability is being determined by your fears of this thing. And so I started rooting out these things in my life where I was like, what fears are steering me?
So did you start taking the long way?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, I started doing distance running.
You got to push yourself to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mental.
Yeah. And within 6 months I did this double dipsy. It was like 30 miles up 2 mountains.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, dude. I didn't do it twice. I just
So I played soccer my whole life. So for me, it's sprint, jog, sprint, jog, sprint, jog. I don't have long distance. Fuck that.
Dude, it's just it's really interesting though, because after, obviously with anything, it yields to effort. So after, training and after a certain number of months and after a certain number of, I'm not saying it's fun, but I'm just saying it's interesting that you can keep moving. You can keep doing it. What are you looking for?
I need to plug my phone in if that's possible.
What do you got, an iPhone?
Yeah.
Oh, here. I got you, baby.
Cool.
I got you. Yeah, so the distance running was one of them. Having a third kid was something that was really scary to me because we had 2 wonderful boys, and I was really anxious about, like, dude, are you pushing your luck? Like, you already have these 2 wonderful boys, and what happens if you have 3 and it's real tough?
Is the third one a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Boy?
3 boys. Yeah, so it got pretty wild. Oh my God, what are you getting out now?
Well, I'm just going to put some ice in this one. This one's just...
Single barrel Evan Williams.
Yeah, this is one you can't find anymore because they don't put it on the shelves. So I buy every bottle that I see because it's delicious. It's a $30 bottle and it's delicious.
Wait, if they don't put it on the shelf, how do you find it?
Find it at stores that still have it on the shelf somehow that somebody hasn't bought yet.
Interesting.
Because not enough people know about it, and now they do.
Look at you. Look at you in the big old ice cube. So do you put the ice cube in so it tones it down a little bit?
It changes the flavor profile, actually. Opens it up.
I love you. Like, oh yeah, it opens it right up. That's great. Anyway, so I have my third kid, all right, and I start doing distance running, and I think it was the one of the 10 that I didn't get was getting my first employee, because I started realizing in 2015, I was like, you have no reason. It's not like you had a bad experience with an employee. You're just scared. That's all it is. And I didn't have mentors. I didn't have, like my dad wasn't a tutor and like teaching me how to hire people.
Sure.
And I was also very worried. It's like, hey, look, if you get employees and you screw this up, it's over. Like, what else are you going to do? Because I had never done anything.
You're playing head games with yourself.
Oh, it was terrible.
Mind fucking yourself.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Just cowardly, scoundrelly.
I don't see that in you at all.
But look, that's because competent people become things they're competent at. And they avoid or compensate for the things that they're not competent at. So, like, yeah, I'm good at things I try to be really good at, but you've never seen me try to be a manager, right? Yeah. And, like, again, we all have our blind sides.
Sure.
We all have our blind spots. It's not great for me to admit that I'm cowardly in certain ways.
No, I'm wondering what my blind spots are.
Well, what are you afraid of?
Oh.
I mean, not to get too personal, but, like, that's all you have to do. What do you avoid doing?
Well... cutting the grass.
Oh my God.
Failure. Failure. I'm scared to fail. But that's, I think, what drives me a lot of the times.
Yeah, but you address that fear of failure. How?
I just fucking go.
Because you don't pick up the flooring and go lay it yourself.
No, I don't.
Right?
You're right.
So you address it in specific ways.
Yeah, and that's why I haven't opened anything here yet, because I'm not confident that I can find the right subcontractors. This is a different market, so They won't be my employees. They'll be subcontractors. Well, nobody can find subcontractors right now. So
nobody finds subs right now.
Right. So that's my hesitancy. So that is my fear, I guess, a little bit, is failing here. It's a totally different market than Las Vegas.
But look, are there subcontractors here?
Sure.
Are there flooring subcontractors here?
Yes, there are.
Is somebody employing those to build something?
Yes.
So you know exactly what you want is here somewhere.
Yeah. I just got to find it.
Okay, so like I'm just
So
a
there
little
you go.
shaky on your answer
So
here.
there you go. So I'm taking the short route right now. I'm not doing the extra fucking loop yet. Yeah.
What a weird thing.
Yeah.
Not you specific, but like I went through this today. Okay, so I make content for companies, right? It's like video content, thought leadership content, right? Like I have a way with reducing complex concepts down to a very manageable bite-sized chunk and then filming it. And so people say, hey, look, I need a video on, solar panels. I'm like, what do you want me to say? They're like, I don't know, but just say something like that has to do with this. And they'll give me like 5 words and I'll come up with some marketing content for them. They're like, how did you come up with it? I'm like, I don't know. It's just, anyway.
Something you're good at.
Right. And I can dive into ideas. So I was having this issue today, like right before I came here. Thank you for being here, by the way. I'm having a great time.
Hell
This
yeah.
is fucking hell yeah. Anyway, so I was having this issue today because, until 8 months ago, I was SAT tutor all day long. And then about 4 months ago, I got into the content marketing business. And now, I have clients and I have a whole studio and I have this stuff, right?
Let me pause you real quick.
Yeah.
I want to hear the rest. But did you happen to look up my buddy?
Oh, no, that's what I meant to do.
Write
I had like this list of things to
yeah.
do. Yeah, so
Okay,
I will
we'll talk
absolutely.
about that later. Yeah.
Anyway, so the point is, one client I had, they're like, okay, look, here's the deal. We love your videos. Okay, your videos are great. The problem that we're having is that we built a platform. Any social media platform has to be like different slices of a pie, right? So one slice of the pie has to be just raw, ridiculous, like comic book entertainment. That's just dumb, has no value, or at least some people think that way. Part of it has to be educational. Part of it has to be intriguing. Part of it has to be a call to action, and part of it has to be salesy, right? But you give everyone, you have this breakdown, 4 or 5 different slices of the pie, so you can attract people with entertainment and then give them some intrigue and then maybe some education, little sales, and you keep that mix. So this particular client was like, all right, look, here's the issue. We built a platform heavy on trash entertainment because that's what they had access to. They're like, we have these, younger people working in the office. They knew TikTok. And even though they didn't know anything or were saying anything intriguing, they were doing like just sing along or dance alongs, or like there's one video of this person dancing with this like CG green guy, just trash,
Sure.
right? Their platform, the algorithm, and this is how all social media works. So like, all right, look, who do I put this in front of?
Yeah.
Because all Instagram wants to know is, who can I put this video in front of so that they will watch this video, right? There's no great issue.
I don't know how it works.
Right. But again, think about it. If you were making a TV channel and you had every person in the entire world, you're like, okay, all I need to know is whatever Matt makes, I got to send that to this group or that group.
Sure.
So they build this following based on this trash stuff, and they're getting like, 100,000 views per video. And they're like, but we need to plug in your awesome content. So they plug in my content. And now all of a sudden, the people that were going to that channel or enjoying their total trash get me talking intensely and effectively about this thing. They're like, but I'm not interested in that guy. I was interested in the other people you had that were like 19 and doing these ridiculous things. Mm-hmm. So I have this problem, right? They come to me and they're like, listen, we love your content. We got to pause it because we got to figure out how to increase engagement with it. So I get this email, an hour and a half or 2 hours ago. And I'm like, damn it, man, that stinks. Because they were telling me the whole time, we love this. This is the greatest content ever.
And they probably do.
They do.
Yeah.
But there's more than just them loving it
Right.
that makes it effective. So it's that push. Because I was telling my wife, it's like, look, if this all worked out perfectly, I would not be nearly as awesome as I will be in 2 years.
Look up my buddy, and then let me introduce him to you.
I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to.
Seriously, he is great at connecting all of those things that you just talked about.
Yeah.
That's what he does. Very similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So.
It's interesting. What mechanism do you guys use to get clients at this point? Or is it literally just you have such a track record of success?
Pretty much that.
I'd imagine.
The best thing we can ever do and have done is figure out who we don't want to work with. So we have a blacklist of contractors in Vegas that we don't work with.
For what purpose?
They don't pay well. They treat our guys like shit. They treat us like shit. They yell. They scream. There's a laundry list of items that is they're unnecessary in this day and age in a construction operation. So the professional contractors are the ones that we like to work with. The low ball, they take the low number every fucking time. Then they push the subs to get them to make money back. They don't agree with change orders. They don't the list goes on and on. Those guys are, all right, we did one job with you. We see who you are. Fuck you.
Never again.
Never again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, that's another thing. A buddy of mine, I have real estate stuff that I do with people on the side. And one friend of mine just, he kind of entered into the team to do a deal. And the other people involved were like, yeah, never again. And he's our friend.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is somebody that we really care about. And we don't care about him less as a person. You know, and I wasn't even, I was consulting in it. He was just asking me for advice. But everybody was coming to me saying, like, hey, how do we deal with this guy? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I talked to him. It seems really reasonable. And they're like, then they'd call them. They're like, I want 100,000 off. They're like, well, based on what? Like, what do you? So it's
tough.
so tricky, dude.
Yeah.
And so when you said you were doing business with your dad, and then you eventually had to step away, it's like, well, fuck yeah, you got to step away.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that with friends and family?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, unfortunately, my brother got fired from the business by my dad. That's a much longer
rough,
story.
Man.
Yeah,
that's tough.
In family business, that kind of stuff happens. I hear it. So we're part of a cooperative of flooring contractors across the nation, which we think is the biggest and best flooring contractors across the nation. It's called StarNet, if you ever want to look it up. But we hear these kind of stories all the time with family businesses because most of them are family businesses. So it's interesting.
Yeah, just wait till Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
it's real interesting.
It's not for everyone, that's for sure.
Yeah, but like business, this is my criticism with quality of outcome, where they're like, hey, we want an equal breakdown of, let's just say, male female, right? We want an equal breakdown of male and female engineers, and male and female flooring contractors, and male and female anything, right? It's like, you can't get an equal breakdown of individuals within a family. Like, you and your sibling could be a year apart. And like my sister is 15 months older than I am. We couldn't be more different people. And it's not even a guy-girl thing. It's just, she is like, I don't want to say insufferable, just like perennial socialite. She cannot be hanging out with fewer than 27 people. Like, she just can't. Like, it was one of,
I'm the opposite of that.
Right.
I like my privacy. I like
connecting with people.
Yes.
Right? So my wife and I would go over there. She lived an hour and a half away. We would go over there. She's like, come over for the weekend. Awesome, great. Or come over for the day. We'd drive, an hour and a half. Oh, just a day trip. We'd drive up there, and it would be like her and 4 of her friends from like that aren't even her nearest and dearest. These are like people from preschool or just people. We're on the auction committee together. She just came over to hang out. It's like, you knew I was coming today, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about Susan. Like, why am I hanging out with her?
I know people like that. They got to have people around all the time, right? Do you know those people?
Yes. This is her.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like my alone time.
Right.
I like to get in my own space and figure my own shit out in my head too,
Yeah. You know my buddy Ryan, who lives on the street. You met Ryan. We were
I'm sure I met him. I met a bunch of guys.
Doesn't matter. Ryan's an interesting
by the way,
guy.
I like those guys are all awesome.
Appreciate you. They like you too.
And I was getting ready for bed when you sent me that. I didn't even see it until the next day. The bonfire pic you sent me. Yeah. I would have come down if I was. Yeah.
Don't sweat. There'll be another one this weekend.
Cool.
But we. What was I saying? Oh, Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan, we had lunch the other day, and he was talking to me. He's like, listen, you got to check in. And I don't know how we got on this conversation, but he's like, he's a really interesting guy. He's
Is
like, we got to
really
check
philosophical?
in. Yes.
Yeah, I like
so he's
that
like,
guy.
listen, every morning I wake up. Doesn't matter when I wake up. Doesn't matter what's going on. I take the first 30 minutes to like check in with myself. And I was like, you take 30? Like, I have maybe 30 seconds.
Check in with myself.
I'm like, what do you check? Like, I have my arms, like I got my ears.
I love this guy.
So he goes and he's like, I will take a cold shower. I will, like, cold, hot. I will have 5 shots of espresso. He runs down this list. He's like, and then I go into the kitchen, and he meets with his wife. And he's like, how are you? What are you trying to do today? Fuck. How can I help you get there? You're like, what? And he's got twins. He's got these 2 kids.
Figured out.
Right. So then he goes through his whole day, and he's all about intention. He's like, so I literally enter the communal family space with an intention of being like, he decides, he picks 3 things. He's like, I'm going to be supportive, I'm going to be funny, I'm going to be crafty. Or like, I'm going to be funny, I'm going to be silly, I'm going to be, like he's taking his kids out.
Can this guy call me every morning?
Right. I almost have. So anyway, so then he goes through his whole day. He comes home and he's like, and then at 6:30 every day, I do a self-check. I was like, a self-check? He's like, yeah, because look, I've been giving out all day. He's got his own business and he it's very intense. And he's like, I'm giving out all day, doling out from the second I leave my room and like the first thing. He's like, I'm going. So at 6:30, I figure out what I need. He's like, and I might go for a half an hour walk. I might do breath work. I might do, whatever.
Well, maybe that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Self-check.
It's like, I'm good. I'm good. So he's telling me all of this stuff. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I am running with like, I don't know, socks stuck to my butt because I'm chasing kids. I don't know it. Like, things are out of the dryer. Like, it's just chaos. And he's so on point.
I see that. I talked to him.
Yeah,
I talked to him for a long time.
Oh, long time.
Yeah, and it was every minute of it was awesome. He's fucking checked in somewhere.
Yeah.
In a different realm than the realm we're in.
Yeah, but when you
I dig it.
Yes. Like sometimes he's a lot because look, I'm a lot. But sometimes I'm like, hey, Ryan, like you're like a 12. I need you at like a 7. I'm not there with you right now. Yeah. But when you talk about like needing alone time, like he's so intentional with, look, I don't have the luxury of having alone. He's like, I got twins, I got a wife, I got all this stuff. So he intentionally finds these moments to like recharge his own batteries.
That's great.
Yeah, no kidding. Shit. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, if you can do it. Well, my life has changed quite a bit recently, so that I do have time to reflect and be by myself.
Check in.
Right? Yeah, check in. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should start calling it that. Checking in.
Check in.
At 6:30, I'm going to check in.
I'm going to check in.
Yeah.
Check in. And speaking of checking in, were you ever a guy who like, and don't take me this wrong way, were you ever a guy who like journaled?
No.
Okay, so listen, the only reason I ask is this check-in, right?
Sure.
When we moved up here, a good friend of mine was like, listen, he gives me a Bible, and he says, listen, he was like, read 10 minutes of this every day. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot, no problem. He's like, and I really want you to try
I've tried reading the Bible, but go on. I couldn't do it. Go ahead.
Okay. I got through some of it. I'm not going to say I read it all.
I got through some too.
And I appreciated it.
You did? I couldn't even understand the language it was in.
Yeah, well, I studied rhetoric when I was in college. Like, I don't have a problem with, like, funny language. Like, it's goofy. Yeah. Anyway, so the point is, he was like, but I want you to sit down and write. Just journal for, like, 10 minutes a day. First thing you do when you wake up. It was like, read 10 minutes and write for 10 minutes. And I've never done this, right? And it was not a thing that I got. But I was like, look, I'm having this massive life change. I've only lived in the same 5-mile radius my entire life.
I have so many guys just like that. Yeah.
Right. And so then when we moved, this was like a big thing. So we move and I start doing this. And what was so interesting is like my level of bullshit for myself just fell through the floor because there was no way to avoid it. It was like you wrote that down and that's a lie. Like you could have done a better job. And if you're sitting here writing like I was doing my best and my wife got mad at me, it's like, were you really fucking doing your best? Were you doing your best? And it was like, listen, it's just you and me here. I'm like thinking this to myself is like, nobody else is even awake. What's the value in trying to convince yourself of something that you know to not be true?
Yes.
He was like, you're just lying.
Yes.
Be honest. You're the only one that will ever see this. Yeah. And so I started writing down my real thoughts. It's like, hey, this one was on you. And by the way, you can convince everyone else in the entire world that it's not your fault, but you know it's on you.
Yeah.
And it was a shift. Talk about a check-in. It's like you are being a scoundrel. Like you're trying to lie to yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the worst fucking lie you could do.
And
right?
who are you if you're? And I'm not talking like major things.
I get it.
But
I get it.
like, say I get in a fight or I get frustrated with my kid.
Sure.
It's like, well, did you need to be on your phone? Did you really need to be on your phone? Because if you weren't on your phone for those, and I don't live on my phone, but if you weren't trying to do these other things, you wouldn't have been frustrated.
I know.
Exactly.
I was really proud of myself this past weekend because I was more patient with my kids, which is something that I'm constantly working on. Yeah, didn't have any moments where I had to send them to their rooms, which was great. I took everything calmly. So I'm still figuring out this new life that I'm in, right? Figuring out my new day-to-day. There's a lot more on my plate as far as around the house, trying to make sure everything's in a good state.
Yeah.
And then the kids are there for the weekend. I have them Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then everything's chaos for those 3 days. And then I got to put it all back together during the week. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all good.
Man, we talk about. So we get out of the car today after getting the boys home from school. Ride home from school is fine, right? And, my wife and I both go and pick them up. We're excited to see them. My wife is awesome. She brings them snacks. So they each got like these little Teddy Grahams. And she brings cold water. She brings ice cold water to refill their water bottles. Because she's like, it's hot. They're going to be hot. I'm like, honey, we're driving like 5 minutes home. She's like, I want to bring them water. Like, she's a great mom. Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we get home and had this good car ride home. Everything was fine. And it was like instant chaos. So my 5-year-old, who just started kindergarten, and he's doing a good job with it, goes tearing across the street, runs into the neighbor's house. My wife goes chasing after him because my 5-year-old gives zero fucks. Like, he's going hard. Like, where he's gonna rip up pillows and eat the dog and whatever. So she goes tearing after him. The neighborhood kids pull up on their bikes, which is awesome. Like, we've never been somewhere that has neighborhood kids that just ride the bikes.
I know.
So they come pulling up. My 8-year-old is like, I want a LaCroix. So he goes to the fridge, gets a LaCroix. And at some point, somebody's pouring LaCroix on someone else's head, but it's in the garage, and then it gets like the slot car track all wet. It's like my wife finally comes tearing out of the house with the 5-year-old, and now the 8-year-old's covered in LaCroix, and the 10-year-old's pissed about something. Is like, oh my God. Oh, like, you've been home for 45 seconds, and like... My dog's freaking out. You want a dog, by the way? Anybody want a French bulldog? He's very cute.
No.
No.
I've decided. I was just talking to Keller, which you don't know Keller yet. I need to introduce you to him. Bearded guy lives like right across the street.
Oh, kitty corner. I've seen him.
Kitty corner. Yeah. Good dude.
Yeah,
so he was just over tinting my windows.
Nice.
He started a window tinting company, by the way.
I'll have to get his contact. What's this guy's name?
Keller.
Somebody was just asking on the Facebook group, and my wife was just saying she wanted to get her windows tinted.
Yeah.
Done and done.
Yeah.
All right.
Fantastic.
We'll pop his
talk about
contact up on the screen.
There you go, Keller.
There you go, baby.
All right. So
shout out.
And he wants to meet you anyway. So
awesome.
Where was I going with that? What were we?
So my life was insane, and you were talking to Keller.
Oh.
Okay. Come on, baby. Come on. We can't lose this thread.
I know. What was I talking to Keller?
Okay, let's recount. 45 seconds of insane. You want a dog? You want a dog?
Oh, dog. That's it. So boom. Keller says, when he's cleaning my windows, he's like, "You're lucky you don't have a dog." And I go, well, yeah, I don't want a dog. I know how that goes.
You're not lucky you don't have a dog. It's not like you have a dog by accident. That's like you're lucky. You're lucky you're over 5'5". It's like, yeah, I am very lucky. I'm 6, like 1 3/4. I'm very lucky because I had nothing to do with it. It's not like I accidentally get dogs. Like, I'm not lucky. I'm smart. There's a difference.
Right. But then we get on the track of anytime they want to leave town or go do something, you got to find someone to watch the fucking dog. And that's harder than finding someone to watch the kids, right?
Well, yeah, because people like people.
Yes. And kids have other kids, but you can't just pawn your dog off.
Dude, I have this great little French bulldog. His name's Axel. Axel's the best.
Don't try to pawn
him. Listen to me. It's not for you. But the point is, he's a little white French bulldog. He's white and blue pied, so he's got these little brown spots. He's so damn cute. He's got these ears that stick up. He's so loving. He's a little feisty. He's got a little bit of a Napoleon complex. and he makes my life a little insane. Now, had I 1 or 2 children, as you do, or a lower threshold for annoyance with chaos, he wouldn't be a problem. But I only have so many coping mechanisms.
Add that to the mix. Yeah,
Add it to the mix of the LaCroix on the head and the insanity. It's a little bit of a problem for me. And I love Axel to pieces. Man, he came from Oklahoma, Tulsa Frenchies. He flew out here.
Oh, wow.
He is beloved by everyone who meets him. If anybody wants a dog, just holla.
Yeah, just saying.
He's got all his shots. I swear to God. I have the records. Yeah, he's even snipped. Poor guy.
So you also need to meet Yokoyama, my buddy, at the corner down here.
Okay. How is it that you know so... How long have you lived here?
March of this year.
Okay. I know the people that are literally immediately next door to me.
Yeah.
And I know you.
Yeah.
You know people that are not even like a quarter mile from your house. Like, how do you know these people?
That's a great question. I stop and talk. Carl, my buddy right here that smokes cigars out on his back patio, that's my buddy. Then another guy, Mark, who works on motorcycles, lives across from Andy, next door to Sam.
Okay.
He smokes cigars. He and I went to a cigar event at Rembrandt's one night, and we became buddies. So I just have this connection with all these guys in the neighborhood. This neighborhood is amazing. Yeah. The people that I've met in here that you don't even know yet and your crew is amazing. So I want to connect everybody.
I think one thing that actually happened on my street is that we became friends. Like, everybody kind of moved in around the same time, within a couple months of each other. And the street was completely solidified by like May or something like that. But I think we all got along so well so quickly.
Yeah.
And we realized we all had kids, and it was a quieter street. So it was like nobody left the street.
Yeah, well,
They were like, I'm just going a house down, or like 2 houses down, or like, hey, I'm just going right there. And all of a sudden, we didn't have to venture out. And
you should.
Yeah, I know.
You should.
I'm trying right now.
Yeah, all
I'm talking to you.
Yeah, gotcha. Because our street's pretty damn cool here, too. So.
Yeah. I've heard some awesome things about Sparks, too.
I don't know, Sparks. Fuck those guys.
Fuck no, Jesus. Just kidding.
Which one's Sparks? I don't even know which one's Sparks.
It's one street over.
Oh.
It's one street. It's parallel. It's parallel with near Pond. It's just one street down.
This is like West Coast, East Coast shit. Fuck
right.
that.
I mean, who are you? Tupac? Or like you're not Eminem.
No, yeah.
But I mean, 8 Mile. Yeah. Is that like a real place in Detroit? 8 Mile?
Absolutely. There's 5 Mile, 6 Mile, 7 Mile, 8 Mile, 9 Mile, 10 Mile. I mean, yeah.
Okay, so are those just perpendicular streets off of a main
artery? They're parallel streets, 5 miles, 6 miles, 7
sure.
miles.
But they all branch off of a main.
Of course.
Drag.
Yeah.
Look at you. You know the geography. It's great. So, did you appreciate that movie, 8 Mile?
Oh yeah, it was great.
Though you like,
I like Eminem, but
I love Eminem too. But if Eminem is not from Concord, California, and Eminem makes a movie about Concord, I categorically can't like it because I'm like, you don't even know.
Yeah, you don't even know.
You haven't put.
No, he definitely knows. But today, actually, I heard that he's a very big Biden supporter, which surprised me. Yeah, so that kind of throws me off. But it was somebody that told me that.
Why is he a Biden supporter? Does
I
anybody
don't know.
why?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I didn't know that. So, but the person that told me was talking about a Ja Rule concert that they just went to, and I said, fuck Ja Rule. I'm not going to a Ja Rule concert. So they were, ever since that beef with Eminem, where Eminem killed him, basically, and shut his career down, I can't listen to
that for a lot of people.
I can't listen to Ja Rule. Fuck Ja Rule. But now so they introduced that other twist of Eminem being a Biden supporter just to throw a dig at me and say, yeah, he's not that great.
Well,
yes,
nobody's perfect.
Yeah, he is great.
What do you think about the $10,000 and $20,000 student debt forgiveness that they just came out with?
Oh, did you see this meme
today?
No. Oh, you
probably
did. Hold on a minute. Let's see.
Oh, I did see that.
Everybody saw that.
I got into this big argument with some of my buddies back home. This one guy, he's my boy, training partner, good guy, right? But we don't line up. You know, he's an engineer, he's a
Sure.
PhD guy, and I have nothing against engineers and PhDs,
Sure.
but he's really, his wife and he are really far kind of to the left,
Yeah.
right? So we see that meme. We're in a group text, okay? So, and the meme for everybody listening is this kid, and on the back it says Biden Harris, and on the left there's a can of Jiffy peanut butter, and it says student loan forgiveness, and on the right it's like millennial voters, and it's a dog, right? So it's like the idea is that Biden is doling out these like.
And the kid's got his pants down to his ankles.
Does he?
Yes.
Oh, I missed that part.
Oh, yeah. So
Okay.
basically, he's putting the Jif
Oh
peanut butter.
God! I didn't get that part.
You didn't see that?
No, I just saw there was a dude with peanut butter. I was like, he's obviously giving the dog. Okay, well that's a twist on it. Anyway, so the point is that my buddy's like, yeah, well that's the exact same thing with tax breaks. The Republicans do that. And I was like, no, because tax breaks are literally, I have worked Monday through Friday, and normally you take Monday and Tuesday of my earnings. And a tax break is, I'm just going to take less of your week of work. This is literally, I spent money, I promised I'd pay you back, and now the money is getting paid back by someone else.
Well, this is what I don't understand. How far back does it go? And what if you're the guy that's like a day from that fucking cutoff point and you don't get your shit paid off? How pissed are you?
Right. Or you made $125,001, you know, and so you're past the 125,000 threshold.
Was that I didn't even know.
So there was like a threshold of that.
What's the date? How far back does it go?
Who cares?
I understand. I agree.
Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, the point is, look, I got a certain benefit from college, or I didn't.
Right.
Okay, and there are plenty of people I know that.
But you went. You
But
said
I
you
went.
agreed to pay.
I agreed.
Yeah.
Right? And look, predatory lending practices are a problem. I agree with that. But how about we start with a couple of really practical things? First off, stop government backing of student loans. The government wouldn't back a Toyota Celica that I wanted to buy from like 1995
Right?
as an 18-year-old. They're like, who are you? I'm like, oh, I'm Matt. They're like, do you have a job? I'm like, no, but I'll have one soon.
But we'll give you a $150,000 student loan.
You couldn't get the dumbest used car without a job and a credit score, but they will give you hundreds of thousands of dollars to go get a sociology degree where you have no plan or aspiration to get any kind of reasonable job with this thing. So you have people that make decisions, okay? Now, the way the loans are structured where you cannot bankrupt out of them is atrocious, right? So like you buy a house, you're like, hey, I can't make the house payments anymore. You walk away, they take the house, done. And some people would say, okay, but if you buy the house and the bank takes the house, then they have restitution. They have been restored. They got the house.
Okay.
If you get an education and you bankrupt, you keep the education. Yeah, that's true. What do you think happens with credit cards? I could go on a $100,000 European vacation. I could pay for all of college with a credit card. And then I could go bankrupt. Credit card's wiped out. You're not reclaiming my degree. We move on with our lives. Like there are all kinds of inaccuracies
Sure.
with that. There's just not equivalence there.
The way it's set up right now, yeah.
And again, they're giving the only reason college is so expensive is because it can be. That's it. If you didn't have the most secure debt in the entire world
Yeah.
backing 18-year-olds, you would not have $80,000 tuitions.
So let's think of it this way. Instead of forgiving student loan debt, why don't you make college free and the government pays for it?
College is already free. Check this out. Concord, California. It happens to be in Contra Costa County. Contra Costa County has plenty of junior colleges, JCs. One in particular, DVC, Diablo Valley College. It is free the first year, and it is a pittance the second year. It's like $1,000 for the whole second year. You know how many people take advantage of free junior college? Not many.
enough, yeah.
They'll go to USF and spend $80,000 a year. They'll go to University of
Really?
San Diego, spend $80,000 a year. You can get free college so easily. It's laughable.
How often? How many places are like that though? I haven't heard of that.
Look, how many do you need?
Well, how many students can they accept? I guess.
Well,
are they full?
The problem is obviously that the free comes with strings attached. You have to keep a certain GPA. You have to take a certain number of units. Like, it's free tuition. It's not free time. It's not free housing. It's not free food. It's, I will teach you math or engineering or chemistry or English, whatever you want to learn, but you still have to make the rest of your life happen. One of the things with, like, let's say you want to go to college in San Francisco. Okay, you want to go to San Francisco State, not even private school. That's reasonably priced. Okay, it's $15,000 a year. I mean, reasonable is a very loose term here. Excuse me.
Yeah.
You still have to pay to live in San Francisco. Right, so what, you're in it $2,000 a month, easy. Rent, room and board. So now you're $24,000 in, room and board, because you have to live in the city and you can't work.
That's a requirement.
No.
You can commute. Okay.
The average student,
But
I mean, you have commuter schools,
Yeah.
But the average person would live in the city.
Sure.
So now you're in it $40,000 all in per year, the bulk of which is not the tuition. The bulk of which is living expense. Now put that together with a private school like USF. USF is like, I think, $55,000 a year tuition. And then you live in the city too. Like, it's just like it's one thing after another.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, why do you know all this? But then I realized because you were the profession you were in before. Yeah. Because I don't know any of that shit. I didn't even get I went to a community college out of high school. Graduated high school when I was 17. Started college, and I was playing soccer in college at 17, still 17 years old. I wasn't intelligent or developed enough to even be in that position.
Right.
So we've held my son back because men, especially, or boys, need that extra development time. I was too young and dumb to be in fucking college at 17. I didn't go to class. I kept my grades up. I was smart. I kept my grades up just enough to keep my scholarship and continue playing soccer, which was the only reason I went to college in the first place. Plus, nobody in high school ever really talked to me about a path of what do I want to do in my future. So I kind of fell into the family business, and I was good at it, luckily. I knew it inside and out and still do, and it works. But not everybody has that luxury. So what happens to those students that don't get talked to by a counselor or by a teacher or by a parent and guided in a direction of this is what you're good at, this is what you excel at, why don't you look into these avenues? I didn't have anybody talk to me about that shit.
Right. And this, again, let's say that you, as a young man, you're like, you know what, honestly, I want to study history. And they're like, why? You're like, I don't know, but I'm fascinated by history. They're like, all right, well, what do you want to do with history? You're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, look, there are teaching careers. Like, you could probably be a librarian, like, whatever. You're like, okay, great. They're like, okay, so look, do you just want to study history? You're like, yeah, that's all I want to learn. They're like, all right, look, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to set you up with a work program. We're going to set you up with an education program. So you're going to go to school. There was one semester at Cal, I went to school 2 days a week. Tuesday and Thursday. I had a 4-day weekend. I got a 4.0. I crushed. Right? And now Tuesday and Thursday, I did work hard. Yeah. Got 100%. And Wednesday, I was doing a lot of homework and stuff.
Sure.
But I could have worked 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So if I'm grinding through, and I grew up, again, in Concord, not a lot of finance, so I had scholarships and whatnot, assistance, which I very much appreciate. And then my family did help me some, which was wonderful, right? But you can do it. The problem is, if you just want to study history, you don't have to go to a $40,000 a year university. You can just go to a JC. You can earn a living wage while you're there. You can take more time. How about instead of 4 years, we do 6 years? Because it's not like you got a lot of plans for your history degree once you leave.
But don't you have to do the other required classes to get the degree?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So look, take 7 years. Take 8 years. If you want to study history and you have no real professional aspirations beyond that, you don't have to go into astronomical debt. What are you looking for here? That's the guy. That's the guy. And that's my criticism. Like, I have a family member, for instance, who I'm Mexican. Okay, so this particular family member grew up in Mexico. Okay, she came to the States to go to college. Starts out at a public university studying engineering. Bright woman, capable woman, right? No problem. Decides that she wants to go to the private school for engineering. Why? She doesn't have a real reason. It's like it's a better school, better gauged how, right? Like, is it better in the liberal arts? Is it better, in engineering? Like, what's better about it? Excuse me. Oh my God, the Pepsi. I'm sorry, everybody. I get worked up. Anyway, so then she racks up an astronomical debt because she elected to go to private school without a real reason. And of course, she's a grown woman and she has a real job now, but it's like her education cost her easily 3 or 4 times as much as it would have if she just hung in. She would have gotten a fine job coming out of the public university. You know, it's like you do a good job at school, you're going to get a good job getting out, and especially with a terminal degree like engineering. When you leave, you are an engineer. Like, you go take your tests and whatever, and like, hey, I'm an engineer now. Like, I'm going to go work on engineer. I don't know whatever engineers do. I mean, whatever. I'm an idiot. But like, if you're studying history, you don't have that terminal aspect to it where you graduate, you take a history test, and you're like, I'm a historian now, and here I go, right? So it's like, why invent?
Does that come with a beard, full beard?
No, you get a little goat. It depends on the university. Depends on your age too. You do the 8-year train, you get a beard. You get the 4-year, you get a little flavor saver.
Kind of like I'm rocking right now.
Yeah. What did you study when you were 17, or do you remember it all?
Actually, history actually was one of the ones I liked. And geology I liked. But it was because of the teachers. Big fan
of minerals.
Well, yeah, but it was because of the teachers. They made it interesting, right? I'm a hands-on learner. I'm a visual learner. That's why I don't remember street names. I remember, if you tell me landmarks, I know how to get fucking anywhere.
You're like a giant squirrel. You just find your way.
Tell me this tree. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The nut's over there.
But no, geology excited me a little bit, and history actually did, which is surprising to me because I don't read any history books today. I don't, but back then it was interesting to me.
Well, I think history is interesting in general if you have somebody explain it to you well.
Right. And I'm good at math. But that's inherent with business, I think. So,
no, it's not.
It's not?
There are plenty of business people
owners
that don't understand math.
You're right. I've seen them.
Transactional people that are really good at deals, really good at negotiating, really good at but if you ask them right on the spot percents and stuff, they can't work it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Don't sell yourself short, baby. Come here.
Fair enough.
Look at this little Diet Pepsi action. You're a little bit higher class than I am on this beverage. I'll tell you that much. I'll let it slide, though. I noticed your shirt about half an hour ago. How do I block you in real life? I'm just wondering, like, have you found an answer for that? Or like,
no. Well, just ignore. But
what happened to that art? What a beautiful art of just ignoring people you dislike.
Yes.
Like, do we not teach this to people anymore? Have adults lost this strategy?
Apparently we have. So let me think. So let's start with, I don't really have social media. So I don't really need to block people in social media land. Although about 2 weeks ago I started an Instagram page.
Look at you.
Yeah. New life, new things going on.
New year, new me.
Right. But I haven't had Facebook since before my daughter was born. So she's 8. So I got rid of Facebook before there was Instagram, before there was whatever this shit is, TikTok and all that bullshit. Never got into any of it. And I don't really have a desire other than I'm a newly single man, and it seems like you almost have to be on Instagram to connect. And someone told me this. You have to have an Instagram so that you don't look like a serial killer, basically. So that women that you meet can see that you're a real fucking person. So I started an Instagram page.
Can I ask you a really personal question?
Sure.
And ask you to be really honest.
Sure.
When you're setting up your Instagram.
Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Did you do push-ups before you took the profile pictures? Did you get a little extra pump?
No, but there are videos on there where I'm working out. Where
look at you,
chest day fool.
It's important when you're finding a partner or somebody you want to spend time with. It's important that they understand what your priorities and your habits are. Like,
right.
What do you do?
Right.
Right? Because don't even.
That's my Instagram.
Look, I really enjoy bourbon. Right. I really enjoy LaCroix. I really enjoy talking shit on a microphone. Like, whatever you enjoy, people need to know how you spend your life because that tells them what your actual values are.
It's all on my Instagram, and I'm
chest day and stuff. Is all
chest day's on there. I tried to load back day today, but I'm terrible at editing. Like,
Bring it in, baby. I'll help you out.
We'll talk about it after.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know on the iPhone how to cut the video, because all right,
Garrett,
all right,
God
cool,
damn
all right,
it,
yeah.
Yeah,
but it's all me on there. That's me. It's really me. But going to that point, there's kind of a persona that's been built of me, right, throughout the years, and it's friends in the industry that I'm in, the construction industry, and just friends that I know and friends here even, they see me as Vegas and they call me Vegas, right? And other people do as well. And I've kind of built this persona, this aura of...
It looks very built. It was back day, clearly.
Yeah. but people perceive me a certain way when they see me. I know that. I'm not fucking ignorant, right?
Well, you wear badass rings,
Yeah,
like
brother.
a gangster.
Yeah,
like
brother.
I have always wanted rings. Okay, it's kind of like tattoos. I've always wanted to get a tattoo, but I haven't found the tattoo that would be meaningful enough for me yet. Same thing with rings on my fingers. Like I have I worked out today, so I took the wedding ring out. But like I have a wedding ring. It's like the one ring from Lord of the Rings, the one to bind them, right? And you have beautiful jewelry.
Well, so this was my grandfather's ring, and that's what I asked for when he passed. And there's a story that goes along with that. But
All right,
I'll tell you that in a minute.
It's very beautiful. It's
yeah,
very nice.
Thank you. So I just wanted to say this at one point. This persona that you see, don't get it twisted. That the people that know me, know where my heart is, know who I am as a real person. The people that have spent time and actually talked to me. There are some other people in this neighborhood that think they know me, and they fucking don't. They haven't talked to me. They haven't put the time in. They haven't spent the time to understand who I am. And quite honestly, those people, if they did come to me now, they don't deserve my time.
Well, you don't want to hang out with people that are like, look. And I was talking to my wife about this because again, we're raising boys, and they're very loud. I'm surprised. They're very loud. They're very energetic, but they're also very sensitive. And one of my boys came up to me and was like, "Look, I had to do this thing because this other guy said if I didn't do it, he wouldn't be friends with me, right?" And of course, I think everybody growing up, and it was not like he had to steal a car. I mean, he's like 8, right? It's nothing wild, right? Well, it was like throw a ball at someone or something. It was inconsequential, but we weren't happy that he did it. It was like shoot somebody in the head with a Nerf gun. It's like, don't do that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, don't be that guy, right? Just chill out, okay? So
peer pressure.
Right. And a lot of people experience this. But the point was that I was talking to him. We talked to him about it, and then I was talking to my wife. It's like, look, they need to learn. The boys need to learn that people that have this unrelenting and skewed perspective of like a rite of passage to be their friend, like if it costs you something to be their friend, you're always going to experience those people. And if the cost for someone being you being allowed to be friends with them is you go through this like crucible of judgment and criticism, it's like, no, like I'm in my 40s. Like I'm really not, I don't need friends that much.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I want to be a real person, and I want to hang out with real fucking people that understand me and like me for who I am.
Can I tell you something?
Sure.
I got Facebook when I was in college. I swear to God, I put that on my profile.
Shut
I want to be a real person. And I want to be a
I love that. Fuck yeah. That's true. It's so fucking true, though.
Yeah. But I think don't you get to a point in life where, I mean, and I'm not saying I'm like this old wise soul, but it's like, look, one of the reasons why I hung out with athletes.
I don't have time for that bullshit.
My wife's an athlete. Okay, she was water polo captain at Cal. She's a tremendous athlete, and I was on the rowing team. And I think one of the reasons I could only hang out with athletes in college and then pretty much after college, because people who aren't, it was like, what are you doing? Like, I don't have time for the things you put time in. Like, I'm so extended. I am stripped down of energy, of care. It's like I am trying to get to the finish line today. And for people that would like, sleep until noon and do their makeup, it's like, I can't. You and I are never going to understand each other. You know, because the things I care about, you'll never even see. Like, there's just an aspect
the
of
work. The work I'm putting in when you're not watching,
right,
is beyond your full fucking day of
right.
capability.
And you don't need I was speaking with Joy, this woman that was on the podcast. She's a wonderful neighbor of mine, wonderful person. And we were talking about the distinction between what young men engage in and what the result is versus what young women engage in. And we were talking specifically about makeup, right? It's like if somebody wants, this woman has two daughters, right?
Okay.
They were talking about makeup. It's like, look, for a girl to look quote unquote attractive, she has to dress a certain way. She has to put makeup on. And again, I'm not a makeup guy, right? So like, let me be clear. I'm saying like classic, like Instagram attractive.
I get it.
But for
I don't
guys,
agree, but I get it.
Yeah. It's not my jam, and if I had daughters, I'd do everything to have them avoid that, right? But for guys, if a guy tries to like take a shortcut with something, it doesn't work. You can't paint your face. You can't put on different clothes. The things that make guys most attractive are these long, painful pursuits. They're arduous.
Journeys.
Like you got big, some people are just bigger, right? But to actually have a musculature.
I put in work fucking a lot hard.
So your physical body is a representation of your values on a daily basis. And that costs you something.
Yes, but I also need it for my mental.
Sure.
I don't feel right if I'm not doing something difficult and pushing my limit every day. And that's what I'm doing every day. From every extent. That's why I talk about going 150 miles an hour from go. Yeah, I have coffee in the morning, but after that, it's go time.
Dude, I have coffee right now. Human being right here. This black coffee.
You got like 4 different kinds of drinks.
Listen to me. LaCroix is my go-to. The Mormon Coors Light. All right, I love LaCroix. Black coffee.
Is that what they call it?
And that's what I call it.
I like that
because it's pretty much water. Anyway, but I drink. There's not a time in the day when I don't want to be drinking coffee.
Really?
It makes you so much better. It makes me happier. It makes me more energetic. It makes me better with ideas. Like, at what point in my life do I want to be like, I want to think less?
Oh, no, I understand. But that you can sleep?
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah? I'm like manic. I just up and down.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So have you heard of Celsius? I had a Celsius before I came. Not a full one, because that's too much.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Since I haven't heard of it, I don't know what it is.
Oh, it's like it's got BCAAs and EAAs in it.
Gotcha.
So it's plus a little bit of energy, natural caffeine energy.
Okay.
Yeah. But I can't drink a full one, or I'm wired.
Is this in a can or is it a bottle?
It's a can. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Celsius. Costco has it.
What's it taste like? Is it like a LaCroix or something?
No, it's like it's carbonated, but it's almost like a soda, but not. I mean, They have orange, they have wild berry, they have kiwi, whatever,
Kiwi.
Yeah. So it is kind of like a LaCroix, I guess.
LaCroix does nothing for you except give you something bubbly.
Yeah.
Right. So I haven't been.
Which makes you burp.
Horribly. I'm atrocious tonight. I don't know what the hell's going on with me. But I really stepped away. I don't drink a lot, right? And when we do the fire pits on the weekends, we would all go out and it's like, have some beers or wine or whatever you want. Doesn't matter. And I would always just be dragging the next day. So about a month ago, I was like, you know what, man, I'm going to step away. Like, I can't do it. I don't want to drag halfway or all of Monday and then like finally recover Tuesday afternoon. So when we were hanging out, I'd start taking 6-packs of LaCroix. Just cracking them open. And I got to say, it has effectively replaced the desire for me to like crack a beer or crack a something.
Have you had Zevia?
Yeah, that's the plant-based sweetener soda, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I have.
I like the root beer.
I haven't had the root beer.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I mean, if something can get close to A&W root beer, Dad's root beer's all right.
Without the sugar. So the Zevia is without the sugar. That's what you don't want. But I took a year off from drinking completely. Yeah, and I was drinking Zevias. I still had a cigar once in a while, not as often as I do now. But I took a full year off just to know that I could.
Okay, when did you do this?
Maybe 3 years ago.
Okay, so
when
you've
I
been
was
drinking
still,
so you go off from here and then you go straight to bourbon
pretty
like
much,
never before.
pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
Talk me through this. Why? Because I mean, you're pretty established as a human being. You're 41 years old.
Yeah, I'm 43 right now.
No, I mean, sorry.
Yeah,
right, so you're roughly 40.
At the time, yes.
Right, and you're like, hey, I know.
Yeah.
Let's just stop drinking.
You know, I don't know. I was living in Vegas, and I just wanted to prove this is what I do. I prove to myself that I can do shit. Right? So
You sure you've never tried distance running?
I haven't actually really tried it.
I think you should prove to yourself
Really?
you can.
Fuck that.
Dude, let's
actually,
do a marathon.
I can't.
Let's do a marathon.
Look at my hammy. You want to see my hammy?
I want to see your hammy.
It's
I don't-
fucking torn right
I
now.
believe you, but it won't be torn eventually.
No, look.
Okay. Everybody, he's going to show me his hammy.
See the bruise there?
Yeah, I see your ass. Okay, I see the bruise.
Yeah, because it's fucking torn.
Okay.
Playing kickball.
Okay, but it won't be torn eventually.
Eventually, yes. You're
Right,
right.
like, what are we really afraid of? We're not afraid we're going to die on the marathon. We're
No.
afraid it's going to hurt.
And actually, a marathon was one of the things that I thought that I should probably attempt.
Listen to me right now.
Yeah.
Let's do a marathon before this time next year.
You're going to do it with me?
I'll do it with you.
Motherfucker.
I will not let you go alone.
26.1?
26.2.
Oh, because it's 13.
I did a half Ironman on no training.
That's a lot of mental fucking capacity.
Dude, okay, this is a pretty funny story. So my brother-in-law's like, let's train for a half marathon. I'm like, well, I use the word training very loosely. And so he gets a bike and he's like running and cycling. He's following this. He's got a book. He's got a guy with a book, right? And he's doing this, and I'm doing jujitsu, and I'll run before I go to jujitsu with my kids. Like I'm pushing, I'm like 4 or 5 miles. So when I have the guts, right? So I'm doing this, and we show up to the half Ironman. The half Ironman is called the hardest half Ironman in the world because it's in Auburn, California. Auburn, California is incredibly hilly. So you do this lake swim. Fine, I don't care about swimming. So I came out like top 20 in the swim. I was a swimmer in high school. I was like, I don't care. I hadn't swam in years. I was like,
Still, it doesn't
just
matter.
one arm in front of the other. It's just like riding a bike.
Right.
So I don't drown. That's good. I get out and I jump on the bike. And I had been cycling up and down the mountain. No training schedule. No like cycling 5 miles and then running a mile and then cycling 10 miles. Like I didn't do any of that. So I get on the bike, jump on the bike. I blow through and we have 10,000 feet of elevation. So there was a mountain behind my house when I lived in California, and it was like climbing the mountain 3 times. Okay, that's how much elevation you had. So I do all these, and I don't care. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I'm eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm like, go in. I'm really happy, and so then I get to the run. I'm like, I got that run. I have no diet plan, by the way. Like I have no emergency bags. I have no like nutrition plan. So I'm stuffing down this. It was marmalade and peanut butter sandwich. I don't know why. I don't know why. I didn't have any pre-race like bathroom routine or anything. So I'm going. It's 3 laps. All right, 3 laps, and you have to run up and down this valley. And
How many miles?
So it's half marathon.
Okay, so it's 13.1. Yeah.
There you go. So I'm going. I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. Get to the first lap. I'm like, oh, I got to use the porta potty here. I run into the bathroom. It's not good. I'm going to save you the details. But I'm like, okay, I'm okay. I get halfway through the second lap, and I literally have to stop in the woods and, hang myself off of a tree. End up getting, I get poison oak everywhere. I lose a sock in the process. Right. So now I'm running 1 sock. Poison oak everywhere.
Wait, you kept going.
I kept going.
Good for you.
I kept going. And
yeah.
And mind you, my brother-in-law, who is trained like crazy, is still behind me somewhere. I don't know where he is, but I know he's behind me.
Yes, that's all you need to know.
So I get to the last lap, the last 4 miles, right? It's like 4.2, 4.3 miles. I'm like, I got this. And my grandma's there cheering me on. My mom's like, go. So I get to the last lap, and I literally, halfway through the last lap, it was like a light switch went off. It was like, oh, you're fucking done. And I was like, I was running. I was like, okay. Oh, shit. And I start walking because I can't run. There are people walking past me. And I'm walking so slowly. And this whole time, I knew I had this lead on my brother-in-law that was just getting eaten away.
Was it mental or was it physical?
So I did 7 hours Okay,
That was 7
hours.
Fuck.
Because you had the
Yeah,
three
yeah, I get
mountains
it.
worth of elevation, and then on the run it's the same thing. So
So,
the back end of the
same
run,
question.
you're going back up.
Mental or physical?
No, I came to the end. Like my body was like, "You can take a fucking seat, son," and I kept going. I didn't stop, and I did run in. Like I got around this turn where they had like essentially the corral gates where they, and so I had like another, I don't know, 200 yards or something, and I was like, "You gotta fucking run in, just run in." So I ran in the last 200, but I collapsed at the finish line.
Fuck yeah.
I am.
But you made it.
So I made it. I beat my brother-in-law by like 7 minutes.
Fuck yeah.
But you just keep going.
Yeah.
So you and I could go run a marathon tonight, minus your hammy.
I'm getting chills, bro. Let's
Listen
go.
to me. Listen, we're going to do this.
All right.
There's no reason why we can't do it. You don't like it? I'm out of shape. There is no reason we have to acquiesce to our hesitations.
Fuck. I need some more bourbon.
Get some more, bro. Listen to me. We've been going almost 2 hours. Let's kill the mics.
All right, let's do it.
God bless you, sir. You're the best. Thank you for coming. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Last.
Woo! Quick shout out to our sponsor, C Squared Social. C Squared Social is the leading expert in social media marketing and creative marketing. They have fantastic platforms. I have been a client of theirs for some time. I cannot recommend them highly enough. C Squared Social for all of your social media and creative marketing needs.